Everything you see here is strictly informational. Forex is a high-risk business. Please do not place trades with more money than what you don't have. Please do not trade other people's money. Do not borrow any money than what you cannot trade with. And please take everything that I say as a personal opinion. I am not considered a financial advisor. I'm not considered a broker. I am just one here simply recording my journey along learning the markets. Alright guys, what is going on? It looks like we have something to talk about. If you don't know me, I am Ted. I do this thing called Bodies and Wicks, which if you don't know what it means a candle, because candles have bodies and wicks. And when you actually go to TradingView and you put your settings, there's like color settings for bodies and wicks. Kind of where I got it from, I think. I don't know. I thought it was kind of nifty. Anyway, enough of my stupidness. If you haven't followed me, if you haven't seen any of my videos before, basically what I do is I kind of give my own analysis on forex pairs, indices, metals, whatnot, and I let you guys decide on your own. Take it or leave it for what I say. I am not a financial advisor. I am just a person that likes to analyze the market and share his experiences and see what we can do. All right, so the one I'm going to be talking about right now is going to be the NZD versus USD, the Kiwi. Just because it's at a really, really interesting place right now. It really is. It's at an interesting place also with the dollar and how they've kind of been playing, around with each other. So we'll see if we can't go to the charts and see what we can talk about. All right, so first what I'm doing is I'm giving you a look at the weekly. So this is going back all the way to 2014. We have been on this trended decline all the way down to where we are now. And as you can see, I've drawn out actually a couple trend lines here, touching a couple different points along the way. One here, one just below that, and one here. So as you can see, I should have done that. Right now, what it has done, it has broken those trend lines, right? And we are now sitting on top of it. All right, so I want to go ahead and go over to the 4-hour then. I want to take a look at the highest one, that we were looking at. So the highest trend line touches this one actually, and if we take a closer look, you can see that we have been flirting with that line. Now, as you can see, I already have a fib drawn. And what is interesting about the fib that's already drawn is that I moved it just now. No, not that. Is that it after it did the dip, came up, made its high, it came back down to the 618. So to me, trend lines sometimes are just interesting because somehow, and if you saw my gold video, that that the trend lines somehow always meet a fib level. So you can see there's a lot of accumulation here that's happening, right? Accumulation, and finally decided to take off, come and then made its high. But where it made its high is also an interesting area, because it is basically almost like a demand zone. So as you can see, if we keep scrolling, jeez. Keep scrolling across here, you can see that it's basically hitting the tops of these last couple highs that we made. So it's getting to that zone and then pushing itself out. So what's going to happen next? Well, that's a good question. First, I like to go back to here And I always take a look at the moving averages because to me those are more indicative than almost anything else. So right now you have the 200 moving average, which as you can see here, whenever these came up, it actually was touching the 200 moving average, and then moving right along. And then it stayed below it. We also had the 50 come through here as well, kind of acting as pushing it downwards, but it would cross it. It would have a couple closes above it, and it would still act as more of a resistance than anything. But now what's happened is that we've crossed this trend line. We're above the 50, but we are below the 200 on the weekly, right? On the weekly. Actually, let's just go ahead and check out the daily as well. So the daily is where it gets interesting because the daily, they're both underneath it, right? So the daily trend, right now it is pushing it upwards, right? That 200 moving average, it's on the other side of it, and it's pushing it upwards. On the weekly, it is above it. So, bigger time frame always trumps the smaller time frame, as I like to say. So that's why I say it's at an interesting place. It is also at an interesting place because of the dollar. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dollar. Wait for this to pop up here. So the dollar, as you can see, well, if you've been following along, the dollar has just been declining. I mean, it's been in a crazy, back in June it had like a little bit of hope, and then ever since that, especially all through July, it just has been on a steady decline until recently, until the last couple of weeks. Basically since August, it it's kind of been giving us some hope that it might actually decline. Now, where these two big white lines come from, I'll show you. If we go to the weekly, I have two trend lines drawn out. Right, one goes from, let me just squish it together. And these two trend line, one goes all the way back to 2011 and then touches the 2014. And I just moved it on accident. Right, so that's one trend line. The other one is that same point from 2014 and touches that low in 2018. So we've already crossed that one, right? And now we're just now getting to the older one, the one from 2011 to 2014. We're just reaching that trend line now. Now, what's interesting here about the dollar is that we have not, where these two orange lines are actually daily closes. So even though we've had 4-hour closes, we haven't had a daily close above that trend line. We haven't had a 4-hour close or a trend line, above this resistance line. And then we haven't had a 4-hour above this one for quite some time, since a couple of weeks ago. So what's going to happen, and also if you look at the moving averages, it's also in between a weird spot too, because you have the 50 right here, right just below it, pushing it up, but then you also have the 200 coming in above, that could be pushing it down. So we could be seeing a complete switch on the dollar. To be honest, I wouldn't get my hopes up until we get above, we close above this here, this 93.84, almost 94 area, right? Well, a little bit below the 94 area. Which probably when that comes into play will also be whenever the 200 comes in, right? The 200 MA comes in. So if we can get across those, then I think we're in for, an opposite direction for the dollar, the upside for the dollar. if we can continue to see it, struggle with closing above these areas, then we could also see a complete decline, or a complete opposite, movement in the New Zealand dollar as well. So if we go back to the Kiwi, right? I don't know where this came from because that wasn't there whenever I just changed it. We come off this 618, right? And then now what we're doing, and this is what interests me the most, is that we are stuck underneath the 50, right? Whenever we're stuck underneath the 50, that usually tells me that we're in for the, we're going the downward direction. We are not going in an upward movement anymore. Usually 50 to me is the turn. That is the retracement it'll usually make, at least to cover whatever retracement it needed to make. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but once you get to the 50, and you can't get past it, you're usually heading in the opposite direction. So, what I would need to see for the NZD to go long, first get across the 50, then also make it across the 200 and the 50 MA. That's can probably happen if we see the dollar take a downturn, right? If the dollar takes a downturn, then we could probably see the Kiwi get above here. But then again, I had that zone that was drawn out, and now it's not there anymore. But the zone that was up here, that is basically a huge resistance area, right? So we still have to make it through that before we probably see any kind of movement that's going to take it any further up, because once we get past that, this area here, I'll just go ahead and draw it out again, even though I lost it. Sorry about that. Let's turn this off. All right, we have to get above here. I wouldn't even say above there. You probably have to be even higher than that. But we do have to get above here just to even think about how much, if we are going to go along from there. Because once we get above there, then it's off to the races. There's, if we look at the weekly, now you're looking at getting up at least to, the 693 area. Right now we're at about the 6530. So that's a good another, 400 pips, but we got to get at least, a good 100, 200 pips before we can make it up there. So this zone is going to give us a lot of trouble, right? And like I said, it's in a very interesting place because of where all the moving averages are that are going to act as support and resistance of the Kiwi. So what I personally, I think right now what I think is going to happen, I don't think that the dollar is going to be doing as well, and even then, the dollar may not be too indicative as to what could happen to the Kiwi, because we saw that all of July the dollar just fell, right? So if we're looking at July here and the dollar falling, well, in the Kiwi, kind of rose, then, there's some little accumulation here, right? Then, it rose again, then there's more accumulation. So while the entire time the dollar was falling, yeah, the Kiwi did gain some ground, but it didn't gain as much ground as you would have think if the dollar just completely was just going, complete downwards, right? So, which tells me there's a lot of resistance that's happening in these areas. I'm not for sure if going long on the Kiwi could be the right idea, But then again, if we don't see any strength in that dollar come in soon, this could be the perfect area for the accumulation to happen, for people to start building up their their long calls that they're going to have, especially if they continue to see dips. If we see another dip, especially down to the actual support line that we have right here. If we see another dip down there, I think we probably could see it take off. But right now, it's sitting on top of the multi-year trend line, right? So it's sitting on top of that. As well, it's sitting on the 618. Again, gotta get across the 50. Gotta get across the 50 first. Break across that. We gotta close above that. Then we gotta struggle again with the moving averages. And if we went back to, I want to say the weekly, I actually had a line drawn out for that. And maybe it was this one here. Maybe it wasn't. This one's the daily. Let's just go to the weekly really quick. Yeah, there was the line. So there's the line I actually have drawn out for the weekly resistance, for it to actually switch directions completely, for it to actually be a bull market for the Kiwi. We're going to have to get across here. So that's that 6-7, which is exactly where the end of that demand zone is. Let me see here. I'm sorry, supply. So, and if we throw out a little rectangle here showing where that zone is, right, that your 200 comes in right just above that. So what we'd have to do is, once we can get first across that 50 in the 4 hour, then across the moving averages in the 4 hour, then we're already above it in the daily. So that's the good thing. It's gonna be the 4 hours that are gonna give us the trouble. So we're going to have to see how all of that reacts, because it's going to be a struggle within all that 4 hour. Basically within each 4 hours. So we're going to have to see how it reacts. And I think the dollar is going to probably have to do something with that. As long as we can pay attention to the dollar, we can probably react to see what's going to happen with the 4 hour. Then, once it reaches the zone here, to see if it's going to keep rejecting it or not. If it keeps rejecting it, we're going to have trouble getting out of it. But to be honest, to me, it's going to be hard to play this. I don't think I am going to take my chances and put a long in here, unless I have a really, really short stop loss that's going to be just below some kind of support level. That way I don't put too much risk on there. But the thing is that the risk to reward with this could be quite awesome, So if I would probably do it, probably put a buy limit right around in this area, maybe even a little bit lower, somewhere in through here, right? So that would be somewhere around the 636. 638, somewhere around there. I would like to see it come back to this area, while the RSI still has some good strength, probably around the 30-40 level, something like that. And once it gets there, then I would maybe if it comes down and accumulates more in this level, if it comes down and accumulates more at the support level, I would probably be more inclined to start, longing positions then, because that's would probably be a good indicator that it is probably going to go long. But until then, what I see it doing is I see it struggling the entire way until we get above, this zone here, which is that 678. But once we get past the 678, we're good for about 150 pips until we have anything else to worry about. And even then, all of the MAs are on the other side. We probably completely switched directions, and we are now, going to be taking the Kiwi the opposite way. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go over the Kiwi, is because we're such an interesting place in it. And we're going to have to see how this plays out, and it could take a while. I'm not for sure how long this could take, but it could take tomorrow. Who knows? Or for it to just, completely flush out. It depends on if the dollar tanks. If the dollar tanks, we could see the Kiwi take off. So, but this is one that's at an interesting place. It could be, not even a swing move. It could be, definitely a position move, to where you could hold this trade for, if because this is what, swing traders generally look for. They look for the break, of that resistance line, generally like a 1, 2, 3, ABC pattern. And usually once you get that, you can find a good 15-minute entry. And then, it could be at the same time, your 200 MA could still be coming down. Get that 1, 2, 3, cross the 200 MA, and then take it long. And then once you take it long, it's probably not coming back for quite some time, because as you can see, we're at a pretty low area at the NZD US dollar. And even then, it dropped quickly, and then it's been to be honest, it's been sideways for quite some time, probably since 2015. If you look at this, you got 2015. I mean, it did come up and out of it. This played, interestingly enough, where the 200 MA is now. That was definitely a key support level, or support and resistance level, for quite some time, and it still is. It's still, where the 200 MA is now. That's got to be one of those areas we have to get across. But yeah, like I said, if we do get across that would be the moment that I would honestly take that long. I could watch us a little bit closer to see, if what kind of formation it forms, what kind of wave it's going to pull, more of like an Elliott wave structure, like I said, like an ABC, different kind of pullback. If it does something like that, which it does seem kind to be in, I want to see it get a little bit lower again to a good support level. Probably to this one right here, because if I'm not mistaken, this is a decent support level here, going across. Yeah, not too bad. Could be even a little bit lower, maybe here. So we could see something like that. But I would say don't rely on this trend line, to be, hey, it's retesting a trend line, let's go long. I wouldn't trust that. There's a lot of different factors in play here, and just be smart about it, and think about what your next move is going to be. Again, watch the struggles, watch the dollar, because those are probably going to be your key indicators as to what to do next. Again, I'm probably not going to touch this until I see it break this 678 level. I believe that's what it was. 678 level, yep. So if it breaks that, that's when I'm probably going to go along with it. Or if it makes some kind of good move down, and I can, hit some kind of good resistance level, that's going to be on some kind of Elliott wave pattern, support level that's going to be on some kind of Elliott wave pattern, to where I can find a good position, to where I'm not going to be risking a whole lot in drawdown, then I'll probably go long. But those are my two different situations for NZDUSD. I hope you got something out of that. So I've already made a couple different videos already. If you want to check them out, I made for this week anyway. I made one on the S&P. I made one on gold. So I'm doing this one. Probably gonna do one on Euro USD, GBP USD. Check them out if you can. Subscribe to my channel if you like it. I know I'm not the most exciting person in the world. I try to explain the things that I see in the best ability that I can. If you have suggestions that you want to make to me, I'm more than open to hear them. I'm on TradingView as well. You can find me at Tedsley, because Ted is my name, and this is my stuff, and this is what I do. And I hope you enjoy that too. Didn't try to rhyme, but I did. So that was kind of cool. I guess that's a good way to end the video, right? Thanks for watching, guys.